Okay, let's dive right into this. There's a huge legal and environmental storm brewing in India, and it's all centered on one of the oldest mountain ranges on the entire planet. And the whole thing really kicks off with one single staggering number.
Get this, 91.3%. That's the percentage of the ancient Aravalli mountain range that has, just like that, lost its legal protection. So how on earth did we get here?
Well, first, you need a little context. The Aravallis, they're not just a bunch of hills on a map. For millions of people, they are a literal lifeline. This massive 692-kilometer range, it works like a giant wall, stopping the Thar Desert from swallowing up some of the most populated parts of the country, including the capital. They're also a massive source of water and home to an incredible amount of wildlife.
Now, the thing that set this whole crisis in motion was a Supreme Court ruling. It introduced a new, very technical-sounding definition. From now on, to legally be an Aravalli hill, the land has to rise 100 meters or more. Seems like a small change in the paperwork, right? Wrong. It has absolutely colossal consequences.
And you can see the fallout from that one sentence right here. It is just staggering. Overnight, that 100-meter rule stripped protection from over 91% of the entire range. Just a tiny sliver, that 8.7%, is still protected under the new rule. And this, as you can imagine, has triggered a really fierce debate.
And that debate starts with a massive environmental alarm bell ringing loud and clear. Critics and activists are out there warning that this isn't just a legal tweak. It could set off a catastrophic chain reaction that we can never undo.
They're painting a pretty grim picture for the future. We're talking about dangerously polluted air across North India. As the region's natural air filter gets dismantled, the Thar Desert could start creeping forward, unchecked. Water sources could dry up, and hundreds of species of plants and animals could be lost forever. Essentially, they're arguing that the entire social and economic well-being of the region is now on the line.
And that feeling is captured perfectly by environmentalist Bharati Chaturvedi, who really did not hold back. She called the whole thing a plan of looting and running away, basically saying this isn't about long-term strategy, it's about short-term greed.
So that's a pretty heavy accusation. What's the other side of the story? Let's take a look at the official justification and see how the government and its supporters are defending a decision that, on the surface, looks so destructive.
And this is where the real conflict comes into focus. Because on the one hand, if you look at the government's own report from just a few months before this ruling, they were hailing the Aravallis as the green lungs and laying out this huge restoration plan. But then, fast forward a few months, and they're supporting the very redefinition that pulls the rug out from under that entire idea.
Now, the government's main defense is basically, hey, we're compensating for it. A spokesperson for the ruling party argued that, okay, while the Aravalli definition is changing, the government is busy creating brand new man-made forests, even mentioning a specific technique for growing them super fast.
And this sets up the absolute core of the debate. It's a fundamental clash of ideas over what's natural, what's man-made, and what we can truly actually replace once it's gone.
The comeback from critics was swift, simple, and powerful. You can make a forest, you can't make a mountain. Their point is that a 2-billion-year-old mountain ecosystem, with its unique geology, its water systems, its very existence as a physical barrier, that's something you just can't replicate by planting some trees somewhere else.
You also hear this term thrown around a lot by supporters of the ruling, sustainable mining. But critics are really pushing back, asking, what does that even mean? Is it actually possible to sustainably mine something when it involves tearing down a vital ancient ecosystem? The definition of that term is right at the heart of this fight.
Some critics have even gone a step further. They're describing this with a term they call collusional corruption. The theory is broken down here in 3 simple steps. The problem, you want to do something the law says you can't, like mining. The hurdle, you can't just break the law. There are consequences. So what's the so-called solution? You work to change the law itself. And suddenly, what was once illegal is now perfectly fine.
Okay, so let's step away from the legal back and forth for a moment. What do the people, the ones who are most affected by all of this, what do they think? What are the ultimate stakes for them?
Well, the widespread accusation is that this change doesn't benefit the public one bit. Instead, critics allege, and you can see their view laid out on this chart, that this whole move is designed to open up huge areas of land for 2 very powerful groups: real estate developers and mining companies. They stand to make a fortune, while the public's benefit is, well, you see it right there.
And that feeling has lit a fire under the public.
turning this from an environmental issue into a question of democracy. As one citizen powerfully put it during a call-in show, if you can redefine mountains, then we can also re-choose the government. That's a statement that ties the fate of an ecosystem directly to political power.
So it all comes down to this one single powerful question that's hanging over this entire controversy. Is this decision being made for the well-being of the people, the ones who depend on the Aravallis for the very air they breathe and the water they drink, or is it to benefit powerful private interests? That is the question at the very heart of the battle for India's vanishing mountains.